Hi, good evening. This is Mr. McGregor, Curriculum Director for Maths. I'm just going to talk you through the assessment arrangements for Maths and some revision tips. So firstly, for GCSE Maths, there is no change to the GCSE exam content. The reason for this is for anybody going on to study Maths further at A-level, it's really important that they've covered all the content. It's also not necessarily a bad thing for our students because over the past couple of years, different students will have missed different topics and had different experiences in different topics because of the disruption due to coronavirus. So taking out a particular topic potentially would be an advantage for one student and a disadvantage for another. And it's much better for us to be covering the whole course, which we have been teaching. And then when it comes to sitting the exams, it may well be that adjustments are made to the grade boundaries to reflect the extra challenge that this cohort have been through over the past 2 years because of the pandemic. So it is the full specification that's being examined, and we are sitting Edexcel GCSE Maths, and the full specification can be found on their website. The code, if you're looking for that, is 1MA1, and there you'll find this specification and all of the content that's to be examined. So we have mock exams coming up. They are on the 22nd, 25th and 26th of November, so they're all in that same mock exam week. There are 3 papers, they're an hour and a half each, and the first one is non-calculator, the second and third are both calculator. They're not different topics, these exams. Any topic from the whole of the Maths GCSE specification could be assessed in any one of the 3 papers, and often the same topic is assessed in the non-calculator paper and then in one of the calculator papers. So the only difference is the use of a calculator or not. You can't revise different topics for different exams. In terms of maths intervention, leading up to the mock exams, we have been running maths intervention every Thursday after school. That's currently only for students who have been invited. If you feel that your child should be on the list and you want them to receive maths intervention, please get in touch with me. If there's an appropriate group that I can add them to, I will. Failing that, we'll be reviewing the groups anyway after the mock exams, and so there's a good chance if your child hasn't had intervention so far that it will be offered to them after the mocks. The real exams, again, same setup. There will be 3 exams, an hour and a half each, 1 non-calculator, 2 calculator, and they're thankfully not all in the same week in the summer. They'll be in 3 consecutive weeks. The first one at the end of May, just before the half term, the second and third ones in the first and second weeks back after half term. And as with the mock exams, all of the GCSE content could turn up in any one of those 3 papers. So it's exactly the same setup as the mocks. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to revise maths. The principles of revision, I think, are very similar across all subjects, but actually the best way to go about it, I think, is quite different in maths. Excuse me, and I think it's worth just going into a bit of detail with this. So there are really 2 types of revision in maths. The first is revising particular topics one at a time, and the cycle goes like this. You choose a topic to revise, you get some external input to help you to learn or revise this topic, which may be watching a video or a series of videos that teach you the key concepts. It may be reading notes in a revision guide or worked examples from a textbook, but it's finding some way of learning some new content or at least revising something that you've seen before. The third stage is practicing, and then obviously any practice that you've done, and this really is the most important bit. If you haven't done any maths questions, then I would say you haven't revised maths. But any practice that you do, you then need to mark it yourself and you need to see how it went. And obviously that's the absolute key. If you've done all of this and you did a load of questions and you got them all wrong, then it's gone badly and you can't consider that you've revised that topic properly. You need to get further help. So let me just talk a little bit about how this works. The way to choose a topic is really, there are 3 ways. One is that we're regularly doing past papers in class. And so when you've sat a past paper, you will find, oh, look, here are some questions that I couldn't do. You will either know what topic they are, or you'll come to your maths teacher or go to any maths teacher and say, what topic is this? Because I want to revise it, and add it to your list. The second way is that every time the students sit a set of mock exams, they will be given pinpoint papers, which are effectively specific questions on the topics where they struggled. So if you are working through pinpoint papers, you're seeing exactly which topics it is you need to work on, and the ones that you're struggling with most should also go on your revision list. And then just your own knowledge of topics you find hard. If you're in a maths lesson and you're doing angles and polygons and you think, what is this? I don't know how to do this. Add it to your list. That's something to revise. Once you've chosen the topic to revise, there are two really good websites which have comprehensive lists of topics for GCSE maths, and for every topic they have one or sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 videos which teach you everything you need to know in order to be able to answer exam questions on that topic. They are corbettmaths.com and mathsgenie.co.uk. I can't recommend them highly enough. The videos are really good quality and they have a comprehensive set of topics, as I said. So before you attempt any questions, you want to go through these videos, or you want to use your revision guide, because your revision guide will have really clear, easy to read notes. If you think, well, maybe I know this topic already, looking at that page of the revision guide may be all you need to remind yourself of how it works. When you've got to the end of that process, when you've read through the notes in your revision guide and you think, yeah, okay, I get this, or when you've watched the video or videos on one of these two websites, it's time to try some exam style questions. And again, the place to find those exam style questions is actually exactly where you've been revising. So the revision guide, certainly the revision guide that we're recommending and selling, has a workbook in it. So it has a set of questions on every topic that the revision guide has notes on. These two websites, Corbett Maths and Maths Genie, have practice exam questions, links to those on the same page that the links to the videos are. So when you've watched your video on angles and polygons, you go back to that page and you click on practice questions and you attempt some exam questions. And this is where you're really doing the learning, because you're finding out for yourself, what do exam questions look like? How do I do them? And am I confident doing them? And then obviously, finally, you're going to mark your work. You're going to assess what you've done. These all three sources, the revision guide has answers in the back. Excuse me. These two websites have worked solutions. Again, the links are on the same page. You just need to click for answers and you can mark your work. And one of two things is going to happen here. Either you've done a load of exam questions and you've got them right and you think, brilliant, I've nailed this topic, I can move on. Or you've attempted some exam questions and you either couldn't do them or you've got them wrong. And in that case, you need further help. Now, it might be that finding a different video to watch or looking in a different revision guide or textbook would help, but I would say at this stage, go and ask your maths teacher, because it may be that there's a simple bit of explanation they can do that will save you from wasting any more time trying to learn something and still not getting it. But once you have done some exam questions on the topic and got them right, you can be confident, I've revised this topic, I know how to do it, and you can move to the next topic on your list. So that's the first kind of revision for maths. It's really important as a way of making sure that you are confident in all of the different topics across the maths GCSE specification. You can't work down a list of all the topics because there's about 300 of them. So this absolutely depends on having a go at exam questions, doing the past papers we do in class, and finding out what are the questions that keep coming up in the exam that I need to work on because I can't answer them. And this is how you solve that problem. The second method is not about, do I know all of the right topics? Have I learned all of the right skills? It's about actually, do I know how to sit an exam? Do I know the key ways to approach exam questions in GCSE? Apologies for this the PowerPoint slide, which is sort of half working. So this is about exam practice. And there's a cycle here that works along the same lines. Let me just put it all up there for you to see. The first thing is that you do a past paper. And it's really important here that you're not just doing one question, because one exam question is on a particular topic, but it's not really testing you and your ability to sit a maths GCSE exam. You do a whole past paper. You attempt all of the questions that you can, even the ones that you think, oh, I hate these questions, I don't know how to do it, because that's giving you experience of sitting an exam. And it's also, when you come back to mark it, showing you what you can and can't do. You can get past Edexcel exam papers from Maths Genie. This is one of the websites I recommended previously for topic revision. They also have exam papers. You sit down in a quiet room, nobody else there, no extra help. If it's a non-calculator paper, you don't use a calculator, no revision materials, and you just test yourself. You sit it as if it was a real exam. And that's really important, because you need to know realistically, can you complete an exam paper in the 90 minutes? How far do you get? What can you do when you've put that bit of pressure on yourself? And then the second thing you do is mark it. The same website, Maths Genie, has the mark scheme for every paper. So you can then go through and you can actually count up for yourself, how many marks would I have got here? And that's a really useful process for finding out how mark schemes work. How can I get the marks I need to get? So if you keep losing marks on these papers because, for example, you're not writing down your angle rules, or you're not rounding things to one significant figure in estimation questions, the mark scheme will make that clear and will effectively give you tips for how to make sure you get all the marks. Once you've done that, once you've done a past paper and marked it, maybe you've got full marks and you're really happy, or maybe you've only got 20 marks out of 80 and you're a bit devastated. But actually, that's only the very beginning of the process. Because what you need to do now is you need to see, how should I have approached this paper? How should I have done each question? And again, on the same website, on Maths Genie, you will find written solutions. So you can look through an exam paper that somebody has done. You can see the working they did. You can see what they've written on the answer line. And that shows you how you could have got full marks. And equally, there are video solutions. So there's a whole video, 45 minutes long, where a person is doing the exam paper. You can see them doing their working. They talk you through each question. And when you've done the paper, you need to have attempted the paper yourself. But once you've done a paper, going through those video solutions is just massively helpful, because it really helps you to see the difference between what you did in that hour and a half that you gave yourself to sit the paper versus what an experienced maths teacher would do and how you could get full marks. And then obviously when you get to the end of this process, it's another opportunity to add topics to your list of topics to revise. So you might get to the end of this and there are some weird problem solving questions that you've now seen somebody do and you go, okay, I think I understand that now. But maybe there's a question on circle theorems, and as much as he explains it, you've always struggled with circle theorems. You don't understand them, and so they need to go on your list, and they then feed back into the cycle. So you should be doing regular exam practice, but that should also feed into your topic-based revision. And that is that's that for Maths GCSE. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit now about Maths A-Level and the assessment arrangements and how to revise. Let's move on to that now. So Year 13, studying Maths A-Level. Again, there is no change to the Maths A-Level content. There's no difference even in terms of formulae. You'll get exactly the same formula booklet that you would have got in any other year. And again, we can assume if they make any adjustment, it will be about the grade boundaries, i.e. you need slightly fewer marks to get a C than you would in a normal year. If any adjustments are made, it will be along those lines. And again, this is incorrect actually. Maths GCSE 1MA1 is the GCSE specification. But if you go onto the Edexcel website and look for the Maths A-Level specification, you will find further details and everything you need. So, mock exams coming up. They are on the Monday and Friday of that mock exam week, the 22nd and 26th. And then there's one further exam on Monday, the 29th of November. Those first two in the mock exam week will be AS exams. So that's students being examined on everything they covered last year, all of which is still part of the course and will still be examined at the end of this year. And it's a really useful way to see halfway through the course, how are you doing on all of these key topics? Are there any big gaps? And to get a realistic idea of what grade you would be getting. However, obviously, we've now had a few months of learning Year 13, second year of the course topics, and they also need to be examined. So there is a third exam, which is just on the topics covered so far in year 13. That will be an hour and a half, and it will be a mix of pure maths and statistics and mechanics, and it's just the topics that you've covered so far. You will be told exactly which topics are going to be in that assessment this Friday by your maths teachers. So me for pure and Miss Lethbridge for mechanics and statistics will let you know exactly which topics, but it's what you've covered so far. I will be running drop-in sessions from this coming Monday on all of the AS level content, so everything that you covered in year 12, and I'll be running those on Mondays during tutor time in my room in LB11. I will continue to run those after the mock exam, but after the mock exam we'll have a really clear sense of which of the topics from last year students need to work on. So it may be that I say to two of you, you guys really struggled with binomial expansion last year, so come along next Monday to my binomial expansion session. So it may be a little bit more compulsory, but certainly from now until the mock exam, these are drop-in sessions, and I'll just be doing a kind of a quick whistle-stop tour of all of the topics from the AS level pure syllabus. The real exams are Wednesday the 8th of June, Tuesday the 14th, and Tuesday the 21st. So one a week spread over 3 weeks. They are all 2 hours long. So you've got 4 hours of exams on pure maths and 1 hour each on statistics and mechanics. For maths A level, as for all maths, there are really two types of revision. There is topic-based revision, which is where, and I think in A-level maths, this is much easier to do because you have a real sense of what topics there are. There's a much smaller number of topics, and you will have clear memories of how well you understood them and how well you've done in assessments. And then exam practice. But starting with topic-based, the first thing you do is select a topic to revise. Do that by attempting past papers and going, oh, I don't know how to do this. This is a whole topic that I need to revise. Or just from your own memory of topics that you know you found difficult, or you know that you missed or struggled to learn when we went through it the first time. When you've chosen a topic to revise, you want to learn or revise key concepts. So the textbook, frankly, is the best Maths A-level resource because it is exactly what you need to prepare for your exam. If you can answer every question in the textbook, you will get an A, because all the questions in the textbook cover everything that you can possibly need. So I would always start with the textbook. So go to the relevant chapter in the book, go to the section that you need to work on, read through the notes and worked examples, actually try and do the worked examples yourself, see if you can do them, and then come back and check whether you did them right. And then you can attempt the appropriate exercises. The other really good resource, I think, for Maths A-level is the PowerPoints from Dr. Frost Maths. You can access them on his website on Dr. Frost Maths, but I've also saved them in the files section on Teams. So you can go into our class team and just open up the relevant PowerPoint. There's one for each chapter. And you can work through that, because what those PowerPoints do actually is they often have some of the same examples that are in the textbook, but they also have a bit of pre-teaching, and they break the concepts down, I think, a bit more slowly and clearly than the textbook does. So once you've worked through a PowerPoint or notes or worked examples, or it may be, for a lot of these topics, you might be able to find a good video on YouTube that will explain it to you. You then want to do some practice. And what you want to do, and you want to do it in this order, and it's important, is firstly the individual textbook exercise for the area that you've just been revising. So if you were just revising perpendicular lines in the chapter on coordinate geometry, you first of all attempt the exercise from the middle of that chapter about perpendicular lines. You make sure that you can do that, and then only when you know you can do that, you move on to the mixed exercise. And it's important to do the mixed exercise, or to do questions from the mixed exercise, because that's not just testing the one skill you've been practicing, it's then putting the whole topic down and saying, can you do a more complicated problem-solving exam type question? And obviously once you've done that, you need to mark your work. You all know anyway, all the answers are in the back of the textbook, and you need to check that your revision was effective, that you're now able to do this. If you're not, if you've been working through worked examples in the textbook, you've been through the PowerPoint from Dr. Frost Maths, and you still can't answer the questions, then you need to come and find your teacher and ask for help. If it's pure, obviously that's me. If it's applied, that's Miss... Oh, it's not Miss Lethbridge anymore, is it? It's Mr. Collin. So you would ask Mr. Collin for help with the statistics and mechanics. So that's how you would revise on a topic basis. If you know that you've really struggled with integration, then you need to do that for the integration chapter. The second way to revise, and this is something that everybody should be doing fairly regularly, is exam practice. So the first thing you do is you pick a past paper from the Maths Genie website, make sure it's an edXL past paper. Do it in a quiet room without any help, without revision materials. Time yourself, give yourself exactly the amount of time you would have in the real exam, and then mark it and see how you do. The mark scheme is a really useful guide to how to get marks and what you have to do in order to get full marks for each question. And obviously it's really useful because it will tell you how many marks you get. Once you've done that, use from Maths Genie again the worked solutions and the video solutions, and you can actually see how should I have done this question. And for me, I think that's the most helpful bit. It's only useful if you have already attempted the question. So you need to have done this paper first, but then to watch somebody go through it and explain what they're doing at every stage and show you all of their working is a really powerful way to see the comparison between what did I do when I was just on my own in a test situation and what's the best thing that would have got me full marks. And that's, for me, a really powerful way to learn. Probably one of the best things you can do in preparation for A-level exams. And then when you've gone through that whole process, you will know, getting to the end of a paper, which topics in that paper you're still struggling with. Even though you've been through a video, seen worked examples, you still don't get that question. That means you need to revise the topic, and obviously then you go back to the topic type revision where you work through that chapter of the textbook, work through the Dr. Frost PowerPoint, and so on. And that's it. Thank you very much for your attention. Good luck to everybody who's got a mock exam coming up. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.